Let's stay in Asia. We're going to talk about the biggest talking point in domestic Chinese media today, and it's about the Taiwanese-Canadian model Godfrey Gao. He has died. China media analyst Kerry Allen is here to tell me more. First of all, who was he?
He was a big star. I mean, I actually read about this on Twitter this morning before coming in and looking at Sina Weibo and what the trends were in domestic Chinese media. He was known internationally for being the first Asian male model to be signed with Louis Vuitton, so he was a big figure overseas in the modelling community. Also, he'd made his mark in Hollywood. He'd appeared in a film, The Mortal Instruments, and so yeah, he was known there. But actually, just before I came on air, I had an email from one of our colleagues saying, she remembered him from a domestic program called Kangxi Lila, and she was saying it's just devastating. I mean, everybody knew this guy in China and Taiwan as well. He was increasingly doing a lot of domestic TV as an actor beyond being a model, and yeah, having made his mark on Hollywood already, he was a big rising star.
Admittedly, this is the first time I had heard of him, and I went online and looked at his videos. Very charismatic, very young, because he was only 35 years old, and there must be a lot of questions about how he died.
There have been, yes. People are absolutely shocked. I mean, it's been the top trend throughout the day on Sina Weibo because, I mean, he's relatively fit. He's only 35 years old, and he was appearing in this variety show called Chase Me, which is one of these really high energy shows where people compete in competitions as a group, and I saw some of the footage of this show, and they run up buildings, and it's a really very active show, and it basically, he just collapsed, and his management company said he didn't have a history of heart problems or anything. He was rushed to hospital, and they tried to resuscitate him, the doctors, for a good 3 hours, but he just wouldn't come round. So it's really shocked Chinese people. They might have expected this maybe for someone who had a history of illness, but this was somebody who was basically in his prime.
And as you're saying, huge reaction online. The hashtag has been hashtag Godfrey Gao dies. In the last couple of minutes, I just want to talk about one more story. It's about a US teenager's TikTok video clip, which accuses China of putting Muslims into concentration camps. That's gone viral. What is this all about?
Yeah, so this appeared on, I mean, we have to make the distinction between TikTok, yes, which is an overseas platform that's been big nowadays in the US, India, many overseas countries, but also domestically it's known as Douyin. It's the same app, but they have different servers. So this video appeared on the international app featuring a teenager called Feroza Aziz, and it starts off at the beginning just looking like many makeup tutorials. So she's there and she says, grab your eyelash curler, and a lot of people think it's just going to be her talking through makeup and how you look pretty, and halfway through this makeup video she suddenly switches her discussion and starts talking about how she perceives that China is putting Muslims in concentration camps. She uses very strong language, saying that it's basically another Holocaust, and then the video draws to a close and she says, and yep, that's how you use your eyelash curler. And people saw this as a very creative way that say this had appeared in mainland China, it didn't whatsoever, but if somebody wanted to get a message out, because there are government censors who try to do this, they're very nervous about the creative ways that people can get around this, and yeah, it's now given people ideas. Yeah,
it's like she sandwiched her message between these beauty blogging elements on either side, essentially.
Yeah. So it would appear relatively innocuous if someone was just flicking through and saying, nobody's causing trouble with the Chinese government today. They wouldn't think to look at makeup tutorials, but yeah, it's a subversive way of getting a message across. And even though it's on an international platform, there's the possibility that this could resonate in mainland China, and there were questions about whether mainland China had played a role in blocking her account, because she said that since her account on overseas TikTok has been removed, and TikTok denies that it removes any content related to Chinese sensitivities, but in theory that could happen.
Kerry Allen, good to speak to you. That's Kerry Allen, our China media analyst. She every morning sends us a list of what she's been spotting on Chinese mainstream media, on social media, and the unique platforms that are used in the region. And we often get her insight here on BBC OS.